So you're welcome to Yerevan, to the Republican Stadium where Irish dreams go to die. A venue, it's just becoming very familiar for us. Aidan Fitzmaurice, familiar for crushing Ireland defeats. But I have to say, doing this job quite a long time, as are you, that's pretty bad. When you consider the scale of the game and what is at stake and what World Cup qualification means to the country and how they've spoken about it almost a week ago. We're in Abbottstown listening to the good vibes. I must admit, watching that second half tonight and the team being torn apart by a very average opponent, that's a low.
Yeah, it's not just, look, the scoreline says 2-1 and it probably looks close. If you in history it will go down as 2-1, but in terms of the manner, the way they were completely outplayed by a team who, players are players and players raise themselves. The Irish team with 4 players who are in the English Premier League, the Armenian team with 4 players who play in the Armenian domestic league. But in that sense, not even the context of the way, the freedom in midfield of Sperzian, the possession of the goals. Good 2-3 minutes with those early chances from Finnazaz and Evan Ferguson, and you think maybe, but after that, everything after 3 minutes was, there are no positives to take from this. There was no rallying cry. There was a rallying cry at a point at home to Hungary last week where we got the late goal and got a point. There are 0 positives to come out of this fight here tonight.
How does Hamer recover from this? I mean, I feel that there are defeats that leave a stain that are hard to recover. For me, this game reminded me of the first Ireland away game I actually did for the end of many years ago in Cyprus, where you had a very similar game. I mean, look, there's been bad Irish results in recent years, and you don't want to get into a competition. It's like the old sort of ball men fighting over a cone thing. Like, there have been lots of bad results, but the manner of this one, it's not a sucker punch 1-0 to a weak team, which is bad. Right? You can't defend those either. It's some terrible results. But it was how wide open it was, and it was so like Cyprus, where there was this barrage of attacks in the second half. You're thinking, what is actually happening here? And when you consider that this was probably sold on organisation and discipline and managing spaces, that makes it hard when that's been your MO in terms of how this regime has been sold.
It does, and the organisation and off the field, everything else the players wanted for this campaign. We were asking the players and they were doing interviews and was there anything missing, or did a charter flight, did the best hotel, no major injuries, just 1 or 2. Sammy Spottic played last week, but it's not like he went into a team back in the day without Dennis Irwin and Roy Keane and all those players. It was a strong squad. Armenia were in chaos. They were beaten again. Put this in context. Armenia are outside the top 100 in the world. They were beaten 5-0 last week. Their captain and best player retired last month because he doesn't like the manager. They had problems, the pitch and everything else. Ireland, I think, in some ways maybe travelled excuses a little bit built in. 1 or 2 of the players talked about the heat as if excuse was already built in. The game was 8 o'clock at night. There was no heat. It was 8 p.m. locally. So I don't know. I don't think you recover from this. I think some careers, a lot of these players are rarely in their careers, but I don't know, do you come back from this? The problem is, who else does Hamer Halgrimsson go to?
Yeah, they're young. I mean, this is the thing. You're talking about players in their mid to early 20s here.
Yeah, so I think forward starting 11, the caps are in single figures in terms of caps. So Finnazaz, Sammy Spottic, people like that are still older guys. Like, Sammy Spottic, he's older, but he's still learning international football. These aren't hard pros who go back. I think this is a very, very bruising one. I think there's worse to come. Going to Portugal in October, to me, that is an absolute nightmare. Any Irish fan going, I think, is going to be really test of resilience and loyalty to travel to that, because you look at how good Portugal are. The weekend team that Portugal played against Ireland in Inverno last year, albeit in a friendly, and they were still able to turn Ireland over. The big thing for me is the last 2 games, Caoimhín Kelleher has been our key player. Without Caoimhín Kelleher, the storylines would have been an awful lot worse, and we're now back to the stage of having no ideas, no creativity, and you're relying on your goalkeeper pulling out 3, 4, 5 saves in back-to-back games to keep the scoreline respectable. That's the big worrying thing to me.
Yeah, no, there's no positive slant on this. Hamer Halgrimsson said after he admits Ireland need a miracle to stay in the campaign, and look, so he effectively admitted that he knows his position is going to come under scrutiny. So look, we're going to leave it here. I don't think we want to dwell too much more on this game, but I fear the post-mortem is going to be a brutal one at a time. We know when the FAI needed some good news. David Corral due to speak later this week, and now we're in the midst of another international State of the Nation debate on top of everything else that's going on. So it's nice city, Armenia, but some horrible football memory. Nice city, Yerevan, I should say. Nice country, beautiful country. Irish fans think have had a nice time, but this is the end of the World Cup campaign, effectively, and we'll be across the analysis all week in the Irish Independent.